Good evening, good evening. It looks like we are set to go. You have to excuse me. I've I've had some flu-related issues. Not COVID, but flu. So give me just a second here to make sure everything is rolling fine. Let me get my chair in place. I've got some stuff we're going to show here. I've got a few haul items related to collectibles, toys, and I got a gift that somebody sent as well. I don't always holler out when somebody sends me something, but I do get stuff quite often. Somebody was extremely nice and sent me a nice little Josh, I believe this one is from. I'm sorry, John. I've got one from John, Josh, and Ron. That's pretty neat. I'm actually going to have to try this. The wife's already grabbed one. This was a Christmas present from a follower, a longtime follower, I should say. It's really a neat can. It kind of reminds me of Mardi Gras. That's what the wife thought as well, too. Hang on, let me make sure I got you where you can see me. I had to look at the can, too. It almost looks like it's a shrink-wrapped label. Like a shrunk, like a sleeve. Very interesting. I haven't seen it. It's raspberry, too. I'm not a big beer drinker, but I would drink and try a raspberry. The wife, as I said, has already snagged one. Thank you, John. Ron, I got him. I sent you something. There's a little care package coming in the mail. It went off today. I think Sherry is the other one I just sent something out to, too. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I was blowing my nose like mad before the show. If you hang on a second. Oh, thank you, Auction Monkey. Happy holidays to you as well, too. We're going to go into some topics before I probably hit anybody's names. No disrespect, but people ask me, collectibles and what do I buy and all that kind of stuff. I'm going to show you some. In fact, we're going to open a box live. This one came from England. Now, I've cut off the label. So just this is a box, came from England, has not been opened. I'm going to show you some of the items that we get in from specific, I guess, contacts, you would say. Let's open this, get this out of the way. We're going to talk about toys. I want to talk about sales. Again, thank you, Auction Monkey. Very, very, very nice of you to do that. Now, I think some people out there might know right off the bat what this is. Something that the wife collects. I wish they would have wrapped it better. There's no cardboard in here, but this is how I get them half the time. They use a service in England. We have a purchase forwarder that we use too, if you know what that is, but a lot of people may not know what a purchase forwarder is, but that's basically someone in another country that you tell them what you want, they'll buy it for you, they'll ship it to them if they don't ship directly to you, and then you can still get the item even if it's not accessible to your country. We buy things from France sometimes, and I don't sell to France, and a lot of the sellers don't like to ship to U.S. from France, so if you have somebody over there, do you a lot better good. Now, we've got a book for Weebles, so we buy Weebles all over the globe. I'm going to show you some from other parts of the world, too, in just a couple minutes here, but I've shown some in the past from Hong Kong, from Japan. I got a couple from Taiwan. I've got a bunch of the Breckers from excuse me, Spain. In fact, I just bought 3 new Breckers, if you know what those are. Kenner-made Weebles in Germany. We have the Kenner ones. I have the, what does it say on the Japanese ones? Shoot, it's got a Japanese toy company name on all the Japanese ones. This one here is a fairly scarce one. I don't know how many people are into Weebles, but I love the vintage boxes. Wife's a big collector of these. There's 2 versions of this, and this one is the first one of this version I've ever seen in my life. And I'll tell you that because we are avid purchasers of everything Weeble from anywhere in the globe. And let me show you the other version. So now we have both versions of this. And let me switch back so I can make sure everybody can see what I got. So these are just 2 versions. We had this one here. This is the original version of this box. And then this is the later version with the newer, more whimsical pattern. It's the same toy, if you can see that off the bat. We buy these, as I said, all the time. It's one of the biggest things that we purchase outside of specifically resell. Now, some of these we resell. Don't get me wrong. I don't, hold on to things if we get a better copy or we've got two of something. But these are just a couple examples. If you look up the Caravan, just this vehicle without a box, just the vehicle itself can easily get you 30 or so bucks plus 20 bucks shipping if you're from England. If you're from England and you have this up, it's like 30 bucks, 20 bucks, 24 bucks to ship it to the US. The whole box, obviously, is worth a pretty good penny. I love these sorts of things. I'm not going to open up the insides right here because I think it would be a waste, and I don't want to have to mess anything up, but I love all of the packaging. I love seeing all these. We actually have everything on this, including a mail-away mat that came with this. But anyway, I've got videos still coming up. We haven't forgot with everything going on, and we haven't had a chance. Let me show you just a couple other ones here. In fact, let me show you one we've been looking for 2 years. We just got it this Christmas. Now, this is the Airfix United Kingdom. This was done in England. It's the original. It's got a blank back on the back, which is typical of these. So if you haven't seen this one's pretty wild, I personally think. I had not seen this one. Now, there's a horse, and the only real difference between the reindeer and the horse is the antlers, which is kind of interesting. I knew there was a Santa Claus. I just couldn't produce a copy or a photo or image of it until I actually saw this. And believe it or not, this came from the U.S. I didn't have to pay to ship it from England. Usually, every one of the foreign ones that we have almost always comes from England, Spain, South America, Argentina, Brazil, Germany, France, Japan, and Hong Kong, I think, are the main countries we've bought these from in the last few years. Most of the versions that you'll find are like this. Price-wise, the first two I showed you for interest in what they would sell for. Over here, probably at least $150 a piece. This one here, this one's probably like a $75 one in this here. I can't believe we got it for what we did. I'm not going to tell you what I paid for it, but I was shocked that no one else wanted this. I love the box toys. I've said it a million times. I love vintage box toys. Now let's go down to South America for just a minute here and show you some South American toys. We imported these. I've imported stuff for years, decade or better. And not just stuff for our collection, but stuff we turn around and resell. I've said it a million times. You can make money by buying off other eBay sites, Germany, France, England, and then importing them yourself in bulk. If you get a purchaser, a shipper for you, you can have them get a whole bunch of stuff and ship it in one package. You'll save greatly and you can actually make money importing stuff because most people don't want to import. But once they're over here, you can usually sell them for decent money. This is from Argentina, this one here. I don't know how many have seen, I've got a video on Weebles up, and I know there's a few people who follow that know what Weebles are. Now, it's a little dusty. This was in a storage building, apparently, with a bunch of these. Now, I've got videos showing the original version of this, the two versions there are. In the U.S. or anywhere else, there's a white ice cream truck that looks just like this, but it's white, and it says ice cream. And then there's a purple ghost van. The only way to get this version, and I hadn't seen it until someone posted one of these and had a bunch of them for sale. So we've got a couple of these, actually, but this is from Argentina, and it was, I guess, leftover green. The green in here I actually traced down. The green in this is used in knockoff Shogun Warriors and a few other things. I mean, it's just like leftover plastic from them. They made it up. Now, this is Topi Toys is who made this, and we've probably got about 40 different box Topi toys. I only buy the foreign ones if they're boxed, unless it's something scarce or I've never run into it. We spent a few bucks for two of these, but they're extremely rare. It's the only way to ever get variants of things. And I've taught like Star Wars. There are some that were only released in certain countries. Some of the markings you'll run into on some Glasslight. Look up Glasslight in Star Wars. Glasslight is like, I think it's Brazil or somewhere over in Europe area. Not Brazil, I'm sorry. Spain, I think is what it is. This is Topi Toys. I've got, a bunch of Topi Toys. Mostly carded, as I said. I don't usually buy them. Now, this is Topi Toys 2. And I've never, ever seen one of them in this sort of package. This goes back to the original release of the very first Weebles here in the U.S., which was released at a toy fair in a house-shaped box. I've only seen a picture of it once, and I bid on one, and I didn't think it was going to go as high as it did, and we got outbid at the last second. So it's something I would pay $600 for in cash if anybody sees it. It's a toy fair. It does not say any of the fancy Weeble logos. It looks like a house with windows, and each window has a spot for the four family members, and then the dog. It's a flat, thin, large box, and it has like a toy fair back on it. It doesn't show up anywhere. I've only seen it once. I should have bid way more, but I didn't realize it was gonna go that high. I'm usually the top bidder on a lot of these kind of things, but this is pretty cool. Different style packaging in different countries. Loupe was the licensee from Hasbro back in the day when these were being produced. This is an original 78, 77, 78, if I'm not mistaken. This one came out a little earlier. This was supposed to be for the Ice Cream Super Weeble with Mr. Trouble, the original version of this, and then the Ghost Fan, which goes for it's an individual box. I have a Loupe Ghost Fan too. It's Phantasm, I think it says in the box. I may have shown that one before too, but this is just a few of the items that we picked up just this month or so. And then something else I buy every time I see them. Let me make sure you can see these before I... Now, this is the elusive Ghost Weeble, and these are all original. This is the real deal. We've got probably another 7 more. I think I need 1 more for a dozen Ghost Weebles, but this used to be what I thought was the rarest Weeble, and in this country, it probably is the rarest Weeble. He can easily sell, I think the cheapest I paid was about $38 for some, and then I think they can go all the way up to about 80, depending on the day of the week. I'm not going to go into super detail because I got a little secret on these that we're going to do, and we've got some video clipped on. But I'm looking for, I'm not trying to turn this into a, hey, I'm going to buy this, but since we're here, I'm looking for a solid black Weeble. No face, no nothing, no clear plastic. It's just all black. It looks just like the black on the top here as well as the black on the bottom. The middle it's just all black. That's all it is. There's nothing else about it. I'm going to pay $100 for one of those if it's an original one. This size, 2 inches tall. Just FYI. If anybody runs into one, let me know. If you live near Hasbro, there's a real good chance you could run into one because they were given away locally near one of the factories. Again, I'll pay $100 cash right off and shipping for it. But these are probably the rarest one here in the U.S. And they're not super, super rare. Again, at one time, these used to go for $125. Just to give you an idea on those. It's the Scotch tape Ghost Weeble. You'd send away for it. You could cut off the back of a Scotch tape packet during Christmas time. I think maybe it came out in 77. I have a copy of the commercial, the original commercial from that. And you'd send away with proof of purchase, and I don't remember how much it was, but it was one of the rarest ones. Back in the day, I'd only played the commercial, from what I understand, in like big towns or big cities, New York, Detroit, Chicago, LA, Atlanta, and stuff like that. Charleston or something too. But so a lot of people may not even been aware of these at all. It was its own thing. It's the only mail away Hasbro Weeble that there was in the U.S. Now, when you go to foreign Weebles, excuse me, when you go to foreign Weebles, there's a lot of rare ones. We've paid $100, $125, even up to $150 for a single Weeble from some of the overseas assortments. Brecker are pretty hard to get. Brekkar. Look that up. Kenner ones are hard to get. The Japanese ones are. The Hong Kong ones look like, well, the Hong Kong ones look like, these are Airfix Weebles. They have faces and shapes to them. They're not just perfectly smooth. There's a Hong Kong knockoff of these that's semi-licensed. I have some of those too, but this is just one of my favorite ones this year. Excuse me. Pardon me. That's the necessities out there. Let me do a correction for those in Patreon and in YouTube membership. There's a video talking about flattening paper. The press I show in there that I have the link to, Leland pointed out the feedback on that person. The press itself is great from everything I can see. I actually talked to somebody who has one of those. So the press is awesome from what I understand. again, I'm ordering one here. I didn't want to have anything worried about coming in delivery wise until after a certain date, just because we're in and out and I don't want to have it set out somewhere, and I wanted to have it come straight to our location. I'll have one in, trust me. But look at the seller of the actual press before you make the purchase. It's through Amazon, so chances are, even if something happens, you're going to be all taken care of. I've been screwed ever on a purchase, even when it didn't ship or anything on Amazon. In fact, I use the chat. You know, we do a lot on Amazon. I don't know everybody else, but it's just convenient and price-wise. Newegg for electronics many times, but Amazon's not too shabby on stuff. I'm not a big fan of the company, but, you know, money's money, and it's business, some of the stuff we get. So anyway, that's just me on it. Ron was very nice enough to send something. We're going to talk about these in a separate video here. There's stuff going around. There's a lot of counterfeits. I've now had 3 people point out some to me after I've asked around to a couple of folks that do quantity and do auctions and stuff, like not eBay style, you know, local and live auctions and things, but there's a lot of fakes going around. I'm putting together a video on how to tell. As soon as I saw them and pulled out some stuff, it was easy to tell, and I'm going to show how to tell some fakes for some very expensive items. What Ron sent me, if they were legit, would be bordering on the $2,000 range. That's what you'd get out of them if they were legit. But we'll discuss those. Another YouTuber actually was scammed on the same things. For those in Patreon too, there's a live event we did yesterday. I'm sorry, my throat's all over the place today. There was a live event we did last night. It was a test run. If you pay attention tomorrow, I'll have a survey up for those who are in it. I know I didn't get to everybody. We're going to have to set like some ways and stuff, maybe like a time everybody can sign up for a 5-minute or so. I don't know, but we'll set something up. I had some feedback already for some folks, and I wanted to address that. I do have 2 more videos coming up for YouTube membership, and there's going to be at least one more, probably a 2-parter for Patreon still this weekend. It's already shot. I'm not going to shout out what it is, but it'll be a different topic for YouTube membership. That's already ready to go. I don't know if it'll be up tonight, but their YouTube membership may still be up tonight. Patreon, you got a sneak peek on last night's video before it went up too. Let's see. There was a couple other things I wanted to talk. Let's go into sales here. Toys, beer, and now holiday sales, because that's literally. I really liked getting these. I have to say, I was really surprised. You should have seen the wife's face, because it's like Mardi Gras. But anyway, I know. I'm sorry. I'm ranting on there. I get stuff not all the time, but fairly often stuff shows up here, and sometimes it's more personable. And you know, somebody brought me to tears sending me something once. It was something from my childhood. I don't know how the heck they found it, and I'm pictured in something. And anyway, somebody was very nice enough to track it down and mail it to me, and it has me in it from when I was like, how old would I be in there? 10. So, you know, it was very touching. Stuff like that happens. It's really nice when it does. And it, you know, anyway, I know I'm ranting. I know I'm rambling on here. Sales wise, I did a test on promoted listings. I've talked about it. Those in Patreon and in YouTube membership, you saw my screenshots. You know I was running it. I canceled them all this morning. Every one of my promoted listings I ended. And I went right back to my normal sales and markdown, end and sell similar, because my sales dived right after I started. I mean, like the very next day. And then we looked at, again, I'm not saying promoted listings won't work for you depending on what you have, but for the type of items that I'm selling, the basic results, I started the test on the 5th of this month. And so it ran for, 24 days, almost 24 full days. I just couldn't sit there and deal with you know, the what would, it's a loss for us running promoted listing. Again, it's a tool. It works for some folks. It doesn't work for everybody. We've got rare and unique items. There's not much competition. What happened with the basic results of it are that my amount of purchases through sales and markdown went way down, and all I did was get a few more sales that were through promoted listings. That's all the results show me for running it for 24 days. I ran 8,000 listings versus 22,000 listings. So it was basically 24%, somewhere in there. You know, so I have a baseline They all had the same sales. So even the ones with promoted listings that I ran as a test, 8,000 of them, I still did sales and markdown. So I'm comparing sales to markdown, or sales and markdown with promoted and without. I have 3 times as many without promoted listings. The results are very clear from what I see. I don't see any sense in I'm not telling anybody to quit doing them if it's working for you, but I'm not going to do them. The test result was horrible. Horrid beyond belief. I was going to run them through the 5th to do a complete month, but man, it was just the initial dip, and then the fact that my sales and markdown sales were down, but yet I was picking up, not quite, I was about 85% back of, return from that back to promoted listings where eBay gets the percentage. So to me, it feels, again, in my opinion, it feels like as soon as I did the promoted, most of the views that I was allowed to get were steered from sales and markdown to promoted. It's the only assumption I can get, because the ones that were promoted, I almost got, almost zilch compared to how I was getting sales and markdown sales. Those just dried up for the promoted ones, and that doesn't make a lot of sense unless you're not showing them as much because you want the promoted funds. That's something they can do. It's in the user agreement. They can do it as they wish. But that's pretty screwed up, and that bothered me immensely. So much so that I spent the morning testing and doing some other things and rerunning sales and ending sell similar this morning. I spent several hours going back over store, resetting some of the sales, copying and restarting, and then touching up on my store, changing my promotion banner in my store, which is something you always have to do when you end and start a sale. Otherwise, your sale banner goes nowhere. And a lot of people forget that when they do a end and sell similar and then sales and markdown. But anyway, I stopped promoted listings after 24 days. 24 days should have shown me something. Everybody said, hey, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. Totally went in the opposite direction. I was expecting you to get a boost. It would be far easier for me just to pay eBay a few extra cents or whatever to do it. And I didn't do 2%, I did 4%. Everybody said, just do 2%, you'll see it, blah, blah, blah. I did twice that. I was thinking maybe I should up it, but I'm not going to go over a certain amount. Whether I give it to eBay or whether I mark it down, I'm not going to go over a certain amount. I can sit there for a little while longer, the items themselves. Now, sales-wise, have been slow. Me running the test now, I thought would be the best time to run it, because I know that sales were up right before we switched to promoted, and then promoted the next day, it was pretty much stagnant. I mean, we were still getting hundreds each day, but it wasn't where it should be. It wasn't where it was right before the promoted. Again, I'm selling totally different items than everybody else. We've promoted for, like on Amazon, for items in clothing and stuff. You gotta do something else to stand out. Promoted is an option. If you're in a flooded category, promoted is an option. You can't. I can price 3x. If you're in a flooded category, you can't overprice anything. The only way, again, I'm not going to race to the bottom. So I'm not going to lower them to beat somebody or anything else like that. They'll run out of their items, and then mine will sell anyway. I got enough quantity to flood them out, or whoever may be a competitor. Even the guy who wrote the book, I've got way more than he has up in some categories that we sell in. He's a competitor of mine. So again, knowing the market, knowing your standing in areas you can play around with, you can figure out for yourself whether promoted would be something. I test everything. I tested promoted because I'm saying it's not going to work, or I've had it in the past. People have a good valid point and said, hey, Don, you're not testing it. So how do you know it's not working now? Well, I did it for 24 days, and my results are terrible. So everybody was right who said, hey, Don, you should test it to see, because most people get this or do that. It didn't work for me. I'm not making that up. Those in Patreon will see that I turned it off. You can go back and watch and same with YouTube membership. So I just want to be straight on that. I tested it. Same results, if worse results than last time, which was a few years back. So I'm not going to screw around. It just seems to be another way to divert funds and push specifics and again, take away traffic from my sales and markdown, because eBay doesn't get a percentage of it. That's what it seems like to me. I can't prove it. No idea for sure, but it sure as heck feels like that's what happened. Wouldn't put it past them. They've done a lot of stuff in the past. It doesn't mean I'm jumping ship. I still do a percentage of my business. Now let's talk about something else that somebody else brought up to me about sales and stuff like that. If you sell on eBay, there's people that judge your store and stuff, by what your specific store does. Most people may be missing the big picture. If I list something, and I'm not talking about just me, this somebody else was offended the other day on another channel, and most people list stuff on. I'm sorry, did I? Hey, Joe. Well, thank you. This is for me. I don't know what promoted listings will do for somebody else. I've said test it, and I hadn't tested it in several years, and it would be hypocritical of me not to at least test it to see if it works, because I would have been happier if it worked, truthfully. I wouldn't feel like I was being forced to do a lot of extra junk for nothing back on it. I would have rather been able to just promote it and not have to do end and sell similar. All my links would work. I wouldn't have to custom SKU. I wouldn't have to be talking with IT guys and stuff trying to figure out the best way to auto sync and stuff through titles or custom SKUs and stuff like that. It would make my life easier if promoted listings worked for me personally, because I could just again, if I'm going to mark it down and I'm just going to give away 10% of something, if I give it to eBay, at this point, eBay's not the center of my business. Everything comes together. We've got multiple revenue streams. So eBay isn't my center focus anymore. I've said that before, back when it was more my center. eBay has made themselves less relevant in my company, my businesses. It's less relevant. We do toy designs, and I've got other businesses and stuff, which eBay's helps us to do. And, we get a good chunk of change, don't get me wrong, from eBay, but it's not as much as it used to be. So, we've delved in other things that make us money too, which I would recommend. If you're only selling on eBay, you're not getting the biggest benefit of all of your listings. And what do I mean by that? Most of our listings are in other places at the very same time. And some of our listings, quite a chunk, are in multiple locations, the same ones you see on eBay, through syncs and links to other APIs and other sites and things like that. So a lot of people seem to miss that eBay is just one little branch of a main business store. I know people who have hundreds of thousands of vintage item listings. I've talked to a lot of people, $1 million peddlers like Chuck over there. He's got 1 million magazines or something. I know there's people with million this, million that. Maybe it's not 1 million. I think he's got 100,000, a couple 100,000 or so. But I've talked to people with massive quantities of stuff. Again, it's not just on one site. Don't if you're not doing super good on eBay sales, you've got options these days to take those exact listings you've already spent the time and effort on and put those same listings at the same time somewhere else for little to no cost. So don't judge, something, whoever it is. Again, quantity up, I've said it before, doesn't mean a whole lot. There's people that have 100 items that do a lot more money in sales than we do. They're replenishables, wholesale, or private label, or whatever the case may be. There's you can do it any way you want. But what works for us is the long tail, which basically it's passive income at a certain point. I fully will say it's passive income, because usually once something's been up, we list a bunch of something. If we buy a lot of 200 or something, they usually get listed, the high dollar stuff, right away. We get our money back. The investment into getting them up's paid off. We got a profit coming back in, usually in the first few days of whatever we buy. If I'm not going to get my money back, I'm not going to buy it. If I don't take chances anymore. I don't need to. I don't really need much inventory these days at all. Again, know your business, know the areas you sell in, understand what works for you by testing it. I give it to those who called me out on not doing promoted listings. They fully right. Again, I've done them now. I'm not going to do them again. So I'm putting that to rest here tonight, because I had a lot of people ask me. Thanks again, Joe. I think I might have missed somebody. Hang on. I'm so sorry if I did. Oh, well, thank you, Joe. Thank you, Joe. Do apologize. We know we had some technical issues there, Joe, but you don't have to do that either. I do appreciate the super chats. I'm totally bad on even thinking about that kind of stuff here too. Yeah, my feed's kind of all over the place tonight. I know I'm kind of rambling, but the bottom line is, take advantage of your listings. Once you've typed those listings up, you can put them all over the place. You can use your eBay store to create your own Shopify. You can then branch out from there. Yeah, there's service fees now for connecting up to Amazon. It's not free and stuff. InkFrog, if you only want to do eBay and Amazon, you can hook both of them up and sync them through InkFrog if that's all you want. Shopify you can use as a ghost platform. No one has to see your Shopify at all. You can literally just use it, turn it all off, and just use it to sync your items across multiple platforms. I know I've been talking to another company that does it too. I might do a video if I'm confident with what's said, but with the holidays I've kind of taken a little break in convo with them. But it's supposedly the biggest one out there now. Again, I try to look and find everything, and I would recommend everybody else doing it too. If you haven't done promoted, it might work for you. I don't know. I just know for me it doesn't. We'll edit up on that aspect. I don't want to beat a dead horse here on promoted or anything. I really wanted it to work. I swear to you, I really wanted it to work, but that wasn't the results. Holiday sales have been very lackluster this year. Does it bother me? I mean, we've had a lot of loss. We've lost both animals. We've had some family members that have passed. Some medical issues here in the family, my direct family, including myself this year. So I've actually put in less time and effort into my business in general. We've taken more time for the family this year than I have in many years. Usually I'm not taking days off like I am this year. So I'm happy with the results as they stand right now. If the year ends and I don't make another sale, I'm happy with the return for my investment. If I worked more, put more time in, my numbers would be higher. So I'm fine. I'm still up overall, so I'm not going to complain. There's a lot of stuff going on in rates and fees and costs, so everything pulls on it. We've got quantity, so we're on multiple platforms. That all helps, having multiple revenue streams, so you're not just relying on one specific spot, one specific site. And that's the biggest takeaway here. Is our online sales going to come bouncing back? I'm not worried that they're not going to come back. I'm sure they're going to come bouncing back. The holidays are still here for a lot of folks. They invested the money instead of buying stuff to travel, to see family and loved ones who they haven't seen in 2 years. All the retail brick and mortars are still packed. Restaurant, we went out to eat. We were on the road, the wife and I, yesterday for most of the day. We ate out. It was packed. There was lines out the door at the restaurant we ate at. And it wasn't it was off the beaten path. I mean, it was someplace we've been to before, but it was just packed. On a weekday and midday, it was after 1, and it was a line out the door after 1 o'clock in the afternoon, after lunchtime, after the official hour. So everybody is out right now. Things are going to, in my personal opinion, will switch around after the holidays are done, after everybody's used up vacation. My oldest son pretty much has the rest of the year off since December or something, due to how his job is and everything. A lot of people are like that. They get to take him off this time of year and stuff. So again, I'm not personally worried. I've got the revenue coming in. I know everybody's not like that. I know there's a lot of folks that may be smaller businesses and stuff. Your best bet is to list as much as you can. Keep listing. I've said this before. I've said it in many videos, and I'm going to say it again in many videos. It took us 3 years to be able to not worry about paying bills and feeding everybody. No lie. That's the honest to God truth. That's a straight statement there. It took us 3 years to be able to not have to worry. We were learning, and it was just me starting off, and then the wife started helping, kids and all. So I mean, it's going to take time for anybody to get to a point. Again, I had the learning curve when we first started. I did stupid buys. I did stupid mistakes. So it's a learning curve when you start this. It's going to take you time. You can't start today and expect by next year to be rolling in it. Yeah, it happens to people, but this is in no way an easy job. I've always put in more work doing reselling than even working as a regional manager with 60 plus hours every single week. I put in way more than that. I don't have to. Um, and I'm not saying you have to either, but with what we do, I'm comfortable with how our business is running. I'm comfortable with how the business is going. I'm comfortable with the growth that's going. I'd rather be the tortoise than the hare. Slow and steady wins the race as far as I'm concerned. Early bird catches the worm as well. I'm always up and I always try to bust everything I can and get it going. So if you're a slacker, you may not make it. If you don't have the gumption, or you're not gonna, you don't care to be the first one to get something, or you're reaching out to people and cold calling and stuff, you may not do as well. That's what I would say about that. Holiday sales, again, haven't been spectacular on any platform from anybody that I've talked to, other than a few sellers who are selling the most in-demand items, ones that have hookups as well to national wholesalers like, trading cards and sports cards and memorabilia and stuff. All those people that I know, including some of the comic shops, are doing phenomenally well. But other than that, there's some record dealers I know that are still good. But for the majority of people that I hear, talk to, have had a very disappointing Christmas fourth quarter as of this point. It's about, again, ours isn't super good this year. It's down across the internet from everything I can personally see, and it's very obvious why. If you go to retail, you go out midday. If the restaurant we were at with the line out the door at 1 something, everybody's out. People are still traveling. People are still on the road. Some people didn't just take off Christmas Day. So I'm not worried. Once people get back to a normality, they're gonna, income tax returns coming around, which is always a good time. Usually my fourth quarter and first quarter are about the same in sales. Really nice winter sales. Things hopefully will there's talk about peace talks over in Europe in February. So stock market, I don't mess with NFTs, and I would never do Bitcoin, so it doesn't bother me at all either. I saw through NFTs when they first came out. It's a scam as far as I'm concerned. But anyway, the prognosis is still great for reselling, in my personal opinion. And I'm not just saying that. That's what we do. I'm surrounded by everything reselling every day of my life, and I don't think it's going anywhere. You're just going to have to buckle down and put more effort into it than you might have had to when we first started, would be my personal opinion. I don't see a way around it. Volume, if you're not selling much, is the best key to at least get more sales. Especially the way the fees are. The fees are much cheaper than they used to be just a few years ago. Prior to managed payments, everything cost more for us. We spent like $1,200 extra, more than we're spending right now on fees, because you only got 10,000 free listings, and then everything over that was 5 cents. When you have 30,000 listings, it adds up very, very quickly. Thousands of extra dollars. It was 12, 13, 14, like 14,700 if I want. I did look that up for somebody. Like $14,000 we saved the minute eBay gave us the ZIFs, the zero insertion fee listings, and upped it. We can list with our anchor store 100,000 or 125,000 or something. I don't remember the total. We're not up to it yet, so it's not important now. But anyway, let's pop down to the chat before it disappears. Hey, Mike, how you doing, Mike? Patreon-wise, I will probably get to everything on the community tab and then emails in the morning. I was just going through community tab. I didn't even get home today till like 5:36 or something like that, and then shower. And anyway, so I haven't eaten dinner. Well, I'll be eating dinner, and I'll probably do that after the show and go through and at least get the community tab. If it's posted after now, I probably won't get to anything in the community tab after that, because I started at the top and I'm just working my way through everything else that's down in there. Emails I got yesterday and the day before, so unless they're new since yesterday at some point. Again, there'll be new videos up on both of the Patreon and YouTube membership. Let's see here. Who is in house? Hey, Murray, how you doing? Hopefully you're doing well. Thank you very kindly. RD Sales, welcome, welcome. Sherry Rigsby, hey, Sherry, how are you doing? I think Sherry is the one I just sent something to, or What the heck did I do with that? Yeah, I think it did go off. I don't know. I didn't do mail today. I'm sorry. I wasn't home to do mail, so but I think it did go off. Hey, Leland, there you are. How you doing? 3 there tonight. It's like family movie night at our house. Yeah, we do family movie night too. Actually, we were looking at a, oh geez, it's a laser. They call them laser TVs, but it's a short distance projector. You sit it right in front of the screen, and then it can. There's a new kind of screen, and you can have projection TV for like a third the price of, and it's HD, and it's the screen. It's like a lenticular. It's really weird. Maybe if somebody's interested, I'll tell you what it is. But that was really neat, and we were looking at that the other day too. But let's see here. Relax and resell. How are you doing this evening? Thank you very kindly. Hey, Mr. Lowe. How are you doing, Charles? Hopefully things are going well on your end over there. Let's give out a few wrenches. I know I said I was going to do that the other day. Can I do that from the screen now? Yeah, there I can. Got a few of these. I popped a couple more in there. Linda Wyatt, how are you doing, Linda? Hopefully you're doing well. Hey, Stephen, how you doing, Mr. Holton? Hopefully you're having a good evening. Michael Sanborn, welcome, welcome. Hey, Marty, another fellow YouTuber in-house as well. Whenever I get to finish Weebles, Marty's going to do some sound for me. We are actually, well, I don't want to give away, but there's some animation. We got eyes and mouth and stuff we're doing for Weeble figures anyway. I actually storyboarded the next video, if that tells you. Whenever Weeble videos come, the next Weeble video is a storyboarded video. It was the first video. We wrote it all out ahead of time, storyboarded it, and everything. I took the time to draw every scene out before, and anyway, we're working through that right now. But Wiggy Q, how are you doing? Hope as well everyone else has a very wonderful holiday, safe one to be the best, of course. Daughter, we had our kids worked for us for, geez, how many years? Quite a few years. Antiquarian Bookman, how are you doing? I think we had some. You didn't get to get on yesterday, but I do apologize for that. Yeah, it was a test run on the live event yesterday. Anyway, I'm going to try a few other things. We're going to maybe have a sign-up time sheet or something like that to make it go a little smoother. Ralph Funk. Hey, how you doing, Mr. Funk? From the Thumb in Michigan. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And Auction Monkey again, thank you very kindly for that super chat earlier there. Marty was sick, I know. I see you're feeling much better, it looks like. Yeah, we went out. Our insurance company allows us to get COVID tests, so we took COVID tests. I assumed it was COVID for the 3rd time, but it wasn't, so I was happy that it wasn't COVID again. You can get the strain. I've known somebody who's had it 4 times now, COVID, so it ain't going away, but it's just like a cold to some people. Hey, Don, everyone, help you New Year. Full house here to watch chat. Full house, huh? Yeah, we had full house for several days, and then we went to and we were part of a full house somewhere else. South London Reseller, how are you doing? I don't know, is that London, England, or is that like London here in the U.S.? As I do believe there's 2 cities named London. Might even be a London, Ohio. I don't know. And again, thank you, Joe, too. Greatly appreciated. Puddings Postcards, how are you doing? Where'd the Fed go? Not sure on that. Genevieve. Happy New Year to you as well. Hey, Mr. Hale. How's Mr. Hale doing? Hopefully you're doing well. Did I? Yeah, I was. I already hollered that out on there. I will have a video up tomorrow for Patreons. The first part of a 2-part, I think it is, series. Maybe it'll be 3 videos. The last part hasn't been edited all the way. I may add in enough to make it 3. I don't know. Janet B., welcome. How you doing? Cootenhaben, there we are again. You have never seen Weebles in Australia. I have been unable to find Weebles from Australia myself. We have looked through eBay Australia, and there's another selling platform there that we looked at too. Another Australian person sent us a link to another place. Like in Hong Kong, I thought for sure we'd find some others in Hong Kong, Asia, Taiwan area and stuff like that. There's only like 2 Hong Kong Weebles that we could even find, and I can't say 100% they're even licensed, to be honest with you. One's a fire truck, and it's a light up and moving. And I originally thought it's not even a Weeble, but then there's one little spot on the box that has a picture of the Airfix, a knockoff of an Airfix. There's like one little difference on it. I've got printouts and screenshots of like every Weeble set that you could imagine, including like every Brecker. The biggest Weeble collection, or the biggest maker of Weebles on the globe, was Brecker. And no one's ever heard of it, unless you're into Weebles. There's more Brecker sets than there are of any other one out there on the globe. They have a huge entire Wild West set sheriffs. They've got like cavalry, cowboys and Indians, I guess is what the title translates into. They've got headdresses and feathers. I mean, they're really weird. I'll show some in the videos. We do have some Breckers here as well too, but I guess it's pronounced Brecker. B-R-E-K-R is the company name. There's like 7 different company names that we have from Weebles, like on boxes personally. Kenner, I think, are the neatest ones, only because there's a tie-in to Star Wars with Kenner in Germany. Kenner made the German toys, the German Weebles. There was a licensee through Hasbro, which was weird because Hasbro, I think, and Kenner had some court issues here in this country, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see, where are we at? You love color forms the way you guys love Weebles. I saw Mickey Mouse reproduction color forms yesterday while we were out too, and I almost bought them because I could have got them in quantity, but I grew up on color forms. We had the Super Friends ones. I had, I remember because I thought they were so cool. I think maybe I had Batman, and I think my brother had a Superman as well, and they had all kinds of little doodads and knives and guns, and I thought they were cool as a kid. There wasn't all the fancy toys or electronics you have nowadays. I thought color forms were cool. I so love my little house on the prairie and Holly Hobby General Store play sets. I know exactly which ones. We saw some Holly Hobby yesterday too. What's it, Mr. Scary? We saw a whole bunch of Mr. Scary vintage originals. Then we ran into a whole bunch where I could have probably got some wholesale Mr. Scary, but I think that there's a Vero on some of the brand new Mr. Scary. If you know what tree tots are, I've shown some. We have a bunch of tree tots in the box too. The family treehouse, family tree tots treehouse. There's a brand new maker. They basically bought the molds out from the original 1960s, 70s tree tots, at least for the treehouse. And on Amazon, they're selling a mod. It's like Critters, Country Critters or something it's called, I think. I think I've even shown it in a video before, but it's exactly... It's off the same mold. We bought one. I wanted to see how close they were, so we bought one. It's like identical almost, other than a little difference in color and a few different injection molding spots on it. But it's like a knockoff. You can't sell it because the company who is manufacturing it supposedly has a Vero on it. So we bypassed it. I wasn't sure, but yeah, I know. We used to buy a lot of the Little House on the Prairie and stuff. I've had what's the other one? There's another series with John Boy. Shoot, I can't think of the name of that TV show. Or is that Little House on the Prairie with John Boy? I can't remember if that's what it is. My brain's dead. It's been a long week here with holiday and visiting and everything else. Hey, Matt Jake, how are you doing? Happy New Year to everyone else as well. Once again, here we are. Oh, Mr. Loftus. Hey, Jeff, how are you doing? I don't know how I missed you, but I just saw someone calling out. Hopefully you're doing well, Jeff. Craig, Landshark Picker in house. How you doing, Craig? Hopefully things are going well, and YouTube land for you as well. Another fellow YouTuber here in house. I don't know what I'm doing. Hopefully you figure that out. Howdy to you as well. Mr. Lowe's down there. The Mad Scientist. Howdy, howdy. Kelly, welcome. At what ad rate did you do? You'll still see ad fees for... Yeah, I know how. We're fully aware of how it works. I shut it off either way. I wasn't going to worry about it anymore, and looking at views from... didn't see anything. Again, I doubled what everybody else recommended. They said just do 2, and I did 4. I was literally thinking about going up, but I'm like, the sales were just so pitiful. I thought I'd see something, but nothing. Yeah, not only did I not have a bump, it went down. And literally all of my... The 8,000, it was 7,994, I think originally is what we ran, something like that, or maybe 7,992, almost 8,000 listings. we saw a big dive on sales and markdown sales on those 8,000 ones that were promoted. It looks like they shut off anybody being able to view them, but yet we got 85% of what we were getting from sales and markdown in promoted listings. So we lost 15% of value from it by doing that is the basic equate. And it's over 24 days. I can't see, that's almost, a 12th of what, 14th of a year or something. You would think you would see some sort of results if there was something with it. Again, I got odd, unique, rare items for the most part. There's nothing else like most of what we have on eBay, or better pictures, better title, keyword, SEO and the whole works. That's just my take. Janet B, I also landed all my promoted listings a few weeks ago. Again, everybody's using them. So if everybody's using them, it's just like everybody didn't have promoted listings. There's going to be a point where it's going to be pointless. You're just going to be fighting in a race to the bottom. Now, you may not be lowering your price, but you're racing to the bottom by giving eBay a bigger chunk than somebody else of your profits. That's the way I see it. They've turned it into a pay-to-play only now, is what it looks like to me. Obviously, if you're the only one with something up and they're not showing it, they're hurting themselves. So I don't think that's necessarily the case. Again, that's why my personal opinion is that for me, it's just not worth it. I'd have to give away 20% to eBay to even get right up where we were with the sales and markdown. I don't mind lowering prices and stuff because we do 3x in most of it. There's no competitors for most of the items, so I can do that. You can't do it in flooded categories. I can't raise the price over 5% over, in a flooded category. If everybody else is charging $100, about the best I would ever be able to even put on is maybe 5 or 10 extra bucks. Otherwise, we're just going to go somewhere else. You can't risk that. So, Jackie Jack Enterprises, how you doing this evening? Yeah, as I said, we turned it off. I spent hours this morning messing around and checking some things out and pulling stuff out of sales and stuff like that too. You can just we save a sheet and it's got all the item numbers that I want to block. You can block off 100 and remove them from sales. So we just run a bulk sales and markdown at 10,000 listings, and if there's new items or something I'm not going to want to mark down, I just cut and paste the item numbers all at once into the exclusion list on the sales and markdown. I'm sure many of you know what I'm talking about there. Sales are slow for the online stores. We did see an uptick last quarter with Etsy jumping up 33% so far this quarter. Yeah, Etsy was doing a bunch of with the forced promotions on there, and I think that's what it is too. We're on Etsy too. My take on it is they're more aggressively advertising versus eBay pulling the advertising for anything other than their parallel lines of ever expensive, $5,000 purses, $5,000 sneakers, $5,000 comics. That's all they seem to be advertising, and then they're doing eBay Automotive. Again, they pulled it. The CEO has even stated they're not advertising. It's up to us with the coupon split out, and that's word for word basically what he said. I may not exactly word for word, but the gist of his statement from the 4 or 5 that I've seen him state on different platforms, CNBC and all that kind of stuff, Wall Street Journal, is that they pulled the advertising for the cheaper stuff that's not $500 items. So Amazon or Etsy, on the other hand, is investing. Of course, if they advertise and it goes to there, you're required to pay them the advertising fee. Of course, there's some people can opt out, but at this point, what I'm not going to fight stuff that seems to be working. As much as I didn't want to try the promoted listings again, I swear to you, I really wanted that to work, because then I wouldn't have to screw around with all the other crap that they've forced us to do. Again, it's cost of doing business. eBay's not, it's less than half of our business at any given day. So I don't, it's not as important to me. I'm still getting the revenue in. Maybe it's not as much, but we're picking up the difference in other platforms. So all eBay's doing is hurting themselves by forcing people like me who would have never in their wildest dreams 5-10 years ago branched out as much as we are these days. Again, I'm getting sales other places too. It's combined. My eBay store or my Amazon store, Etsy store, Walmart, whatever platform we've got stuff on, it's all together. I don't look at just eBay anymore. My eBay revenue streams from a workbook into a P&L statement. I look at the grand total. How much came in today? How much came in yesterday? That's the numbers that matter. Who cares, even to some extent, where it came from anymore? It doesn't matter as long as the numbers are right. It doesn't matter which platform is which. If I get a little more now from one site and a little less from another, it all washes out. I guess that's the point. But yes, brick and mortar are slam-packed busy. Should I create a new store for Playboys, Maxims, etc.? John Doe. If you're selling kids' items, I personally would be a little leery on that. I know Playboys you can sell on eBay and all that. I know as long as you don't show anything and stuff like that. I still stay away from those. So just be cautious. It's your call. I don't know on that one. I wouldn't want to mix them up in my normal store if I was selling more like video games and stuff for DVDs. There's a large number of kids might be buying them. I know technically you can list them and all that kind of stuff. If it's not an age verification, I don't know. I'd just be a little nervous on that. Because you have to be so old and depending on where you're at and all that stuff with that, you can't send it overseas. And I've got boxes. In fact, I was supposed to bring it when I went last year or earlier this year when we met Papergoy out in Springfield area, Springfield Flea Market. I got video on that even too with me and Dave. I left him here. I forgot all about him. I've got hundreds of adult magazines. There is an adult site, but I don't know. And I know there's still a bunch of people selling Playboys online and don't have an issue. When they yanked them off and did all that stuff with it, just like coins, I still haven't listed anything coins or tokens on eBay in a while. I've got a bunch here, and I've been just debating on it. I still have a bad taste in my mouth from when eBay shut down hundreds of our listings that had coins and tokens in them, and then basically by the time they said, yeah, you can put them back on again, all my listings from eBay were gone, and I have to have, imported them back in, and then eBay cut the API wasn't working right. And anyway, I just decided at that point I wasn't going to mess with them until I really, really wanted to or needed to, I guess. And I don't really need to, so the whole cutting out adults, even if they brought it back now, I don't know if I'd want to mess with eBay and dealing with it again. I guess that's my biggest thing on that. I guess it's more what would you call that? I don't know. I feel like they're just playing around, and anyway, when you take something away and then bring it back, it's just, I don't know. It's annoying. Where are we at? Well, 24 days seems like pretty much time. See if it works. I think your theory on promotional views versus markdown is correct according to my research. Yeah, I'm not the only one. I'm not going to call it a name, but there was another person that I talked with, and he was trying the same thing. And there's two other people, not in one of my groups, but that I talked to offside here too, that were all doing the same thing. I want to hear their consensus on what they were doing. Until I say any more on that. But I know what my feelings are. I can tell you straight out the bat. Again, I'm not going to say it's not going to work for somebody else, but I've now tried everything that eBay offers other than the advanced promoted listings with the item specific, you're paying for wording as opposed to listings. And I'm not going to mess with that if I'm not even getting results from the normal one. The normal one would probably be the easier one to get results with. If you want to do 20%, to eBay, maybe you'd get even some huge number, but that's just insane to even think that would be kosher with them even trying to do something like that. I just think they're screwed around with it so much that even they aren't sure on what it is or isn't going to do anymore. That's what I'm coming down to the conclusion by conversations I've had with eBay reps and stuff like that. Maybe they've convoluted it so much that they can't even tell us a straight answer on where or what it does or doesn't do. I know what it should do, but there's not just eBay. Other sites have the same issues, so I don't want to just say it's just eBay every time. I don't know what I'm doing yet. It definitely seems like a waste if you have unique items. I wanted to give it a try. Again, everybody was right if they're saying to me, hey, how do you know it's not working? You can't sit there and say it doesn't work for you if you haven't tried it. So I did try it. I bowed down and I said, you're right. And again, I wanted to see. I was honestly hoping it would work, but for me, for my store, it was a complete waste of my time. Probably lost money, is what I'm thinking. Maybe I should have turned off the sales and markdown totally, but then I would be, none on the other 20 some odd thousand listings that weren't promoted. I did it logically. I had a baseline to compare it to. I had more than a baseline. I had a baseline 3 times over to compare apples to apples, split in the same types of categories, same types of items, right down the middle. Some were advertised thousands in one category and tens of thousands of others that weren't promoted. There should have been some difference. We're talking about 8,000 listings for 24 days. Hey, Amazon Seller 99, how are you doing this evening? We did have a very nice Christmas. Hopefully you did too. Hopefully you're going to have a wonderful New Year's too. We're not going out. We're not doing anything. I know the kids are probably going to be gone, but Dale Jordan, with Playboys and Maxim, those are magazines that they state can be listed as long as no nudity is shown at all in the listing, from what I've been told personally by eBay. But I have had people tell me that they've had listings that didn't show any nudity for some of those magazines that were pulled down when someone reported it. It may be an auto pull down. I don't know. I never did hear. I asked for a response back to see what happened after the fact, after they contacted. I haven't heard back, so I don't know whatever came of those. Okay, here's Mr. Holton. Most of the people I know personally who are resellers and used promoted had little success. Again, I can tell you full-fledged with no doubt in my mind that it did not help us. For 24 days, it cost us, in my personal opinion, because I sold far more ratio. I'm not talking about amount, because we're comparing 8,000 with promoted to 22,000 that weren't promoted. Just the overall percentage of ones that sold as a sales and markdown. Again, if I'm comparing 8,000 without promoted and just 8,000 that were promoted, I sold way more as a sales and markdown with the 8,000 that weren't promoted versus the 8,000 that were promoted and were on sales and markdown at the very same time. Theoretically, I've got 22,000 listings that we did not promote, a large number of them. That's a pretty big chunk. Not promoted. The sales and markdown, I should have had a ratio. For every 1,000 listings, I should have been able to sell such and such as a sales and markdown. That number stood strong with the 20 some odd thousand that were not promoted. But the minute I look at the promoted sales and markdown totals, they're dismal. And the difference, again, took up the slack to get me about 85% of what we had coming in from sales and markdown. The promoted listings did that. So I have 15% down. In overall, again, if I just took off the promoted listings, for whatever reason, it would show that I almost had no sales and markdown sales versus the 22,000 that I had a ton of them. So something's screwed up there. Something's not right, or they again, it might be directed intentionally towards those, meaning they pulled away the folks or didn't offer to show people the items that were on sales and markdown for the ones that were promoted. It's something they're allowed to do. I can't. It's the user agreement says they can pretty much do anything they want with views. They don't have to show your items at all if they don't want to. So maybe they ghosted all my sales and markdown for all the ones that were promoted. I don't know. We know that if they've been up for a long time, more than 45 days, they'll start ghosting your listings, and you will have to refresh them to get them to be seen again like new items. So maybe there's a ploy in there, so. No way to really know for sure, but I'll have some results from a couple other folks hopefully in the next few days, and maybe I'll put something together on result wise to give some figures. Yeah, Kelly's saying to Joe here, yeah, I'm not saying just because I do it, it's going to work for somebody else. I do a lot of things that other people can't get to work for them. I don't mind doing 3x pricing. I don't mind pricing mine up for more than everybody else because a certain percentage of them sell, and it does very well for us. I can always lower the price at any time I want. I can do a sale, and then I got perceived value. Perceived value, whether you believe it or not, works very well. Again, I've got competitors who do the same thing, and the reason I do what I do is because my competitors did it before me. They wouldn't be doing it if it didn't work, and I've seen what they do. I've talked to them before. You know, I have no problem reaching out to a competitor. I mean, I'm very friendly about stuff like that. I like to see it. If I can point out something to help them, I've done that too. But we're all in this together as far as I'm concerned. Where are we at? Where are we at? Brenda C. Yeah, your mileage may vary on promoted listings. There's people who've used them for a very long time. The only thing, what my thoughts were before I ran the test, I started on the 5th. I mean, I posted it in the title, my personal back of the house title for my sales and markdown. I did them on 28,000 overall listings were run in that test. So it wasn't like just, me sporadically doing it. And again, I did show the screenshots, so you can clearly see that they were on promoted listings. And if you saw my store, you could have seen them as well through the normal store view. They work for some folks, I would imagine, But for me, if I run a promoted and I'm not doing, having a baseline to compare it to, how do I know that the promoted were actually giving me those sales and that I wouldn't have got the sales anyway? Just because you turn off promoted and sales may go down doesn't mean that it's because you turned off promoted listings. And it also doesn't mean that might not stick like that. That might be a penalty for turning off promoted listings by eBay as the algorithm changes to adapt to your changing the item listing. You're changing something in the listing. eBay may bump those down to the bottom to scare you. Who knows? That's the whole point on item specifics, in my personal opinion, is to be able to use advanced promoted for us and push that towards you to make you use those specific keywords to pay for those keywords. So it's the only thing that makes any sense. There's no other reason for the item specifics to change it all over unless you're using those and charging people for promotional fees. And the most people that would use those are like corporate America. That's what you do on Amazon. I've done them with keyword. But basically, we've done promotions on Amazon the same like it would be basically an advanced eBay promotion. It's the same thing you do on Amazon. It's been around for a decade before eBay even got into the business of doing that. Amazon's done it for years. They're just copying off of Amazon, basically, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, mileage is going to vary on that kind of stuff. If you're in a flooded category like free shipping, I don't do free shipping. I've never had an issue. I don't even do the envelope rate. I know there's people who are fine with it and stuff, but I'm not going to do anything that I'm going to take a hit on eBay. And if they don't scan it, somebody's just going to scam me. I get them fairly often, somebody trying to scam me. I win like 95% of them or better usually. I just did one yesterday. Somebody was trying to pull a fast one, left some really nasty total lie on feedback, and even it contradicted itself, and then it contradicted the email, and eBay saw it all. They were going to investigate that because they thought it was fishy. They thought the whole thing was very suspicious, and that's what they actually told me on the phone. You can't record eBay, so I didn't record it, but it was very nice. They were very pleasant to me on eBay. I haven't had a bad phone call with Anchor Store support, and I don't know how long. If I call eBay, I can get through to eBay in like a minute or less. I don't even think I was on hold more than like 50 seconds the other day when I called them. I actually called them twice this week. The one thing was stupid, and the other thing was that scammer. They instantly removed the feedback, and I've had people say, "Oh, they removed it only because you're on YouTube." No, they removed it because that person violated the rules, and I pointed out the rules. I don't know. A lot of folks if you don't have Anchor Store or something, Anchor Store is here in America. It's in California, the support offices. And maybe you might not get the same knowledgeable people, but when I call, the folks that I talk to know exactly what I'm talking about. I don't have to reiterate the rules hardly ever. Knowing the rules is important too. If you don't understand how feedback works and what you can and can't do in feedback, you may be arguing from the wrong reason and get somebody who doesn't understand, and then you might be screwed. But eBay removed it because it was against the rules. They were stating in an email to me to cancel it because, again, you can see the whole thing. I'm not going to go into detail, but the whole thing's explained in that video. It's only like 10 minutes or something. I had screenshots and the whole works in there. I get nasty stuff sometimes because of YouTube and stuff like that too, but that's just the way it is. Somebody posted some defamation of my character comments and posts on another channel. I am offering a $50 cash compensation for anybody who sends me a full screenshot. I already know who it is, but full screenshot. I've already talked to a lawyer, just FYI, and I'll send you a nice goodie bag of resellable collectibles. Just FYI. Those who were on last week's live show know what I'm talking about. But anyway, we've got a solid case. It doesn't even matter that it's on a private page because of how our clientele overlaps. So I've already talked to a lawyer. I spent an hour in a conversation. Anyway, I'm done playing games with people. So I'm moving on, and we're just going to take care of it legally. But if somebody sends me that, you'll get a real nice return from us. But anyway, where are we at now? Yeah, online store sales have been a little bit down. Auctions, I'm not a big fan of Whatnot. And I know everybody talks about it. I referred a couple folks, and Whatnot says they'll do this and do that. And I wasn't really worried about the money, but they've sent me a notice saying, we're going to deposit, you did this, here's your reward for turning somebody in, or not turning somebody in, but for helping somebody get on and stuff. And then I never got the money. If you tell me something, you should follow through with that something. I despise, it's a matter of principle, like with eBay and promoted listings. It's a principle issue to me. I'll do stuff out of principle, out of my personal moral feelings on issues, even if it costs me money. I don't like promoting my stuff. I don't promote it I get called out. People always get mad at me for not posting a link to my store, but the people watching my videos want to know how to do stuff. I'm not trying to sell you my wares. That's not the point. If that was all it was, I'd have a promoted or a sponsored video every day of the week, or I'd be pushing services I don't use and stuff like that. Like cross-posting software and stuff. If it doesn't sync my items, I'd never promote it. I don't care what it costs or anything else. I don't promote stuff just to get a commission off something. I could care less about it because my personal moral feelings on that are I'm not going to tell somebody to use something if I personally don't use it or haven't tried it out and know if it works. That's part of why I decided I seriously should do a test run on promoted listings. People were right. I had to be fair about it. Unfortunately, it didn't go what I wanted. So anyway. Yeah, I'm going to ban this person on here because I've seen so many comments that were really nasty by this Tommy here. I don't know what the deal is and why he's making some nasty comments about me on his channel, but I'm going to remove that person from this channel. I'm just constantly getting called out on their feed and stuff from what I've been shown. Some people have showed me clips, so I'm just going to remove that from the show. Let's see where we at. Sassy Florida girl looks like about half my sales are promoted listings. See, the only thing you don't know what would happen if you were just doing sales and markdown or didn't use the promoted. You have nothing to compare them to. You'd have to do 10,000 with promoted or 5,000 with and 5,000 without. That's the only options that you would have on something like that. You have no baseline to compare them to. And I personally, people tell me eBay penalizes and does this and does that, and maybe they do. I don't know. But I'm now more suspicious than ever with the results on sales and markdown. Let's see here. Deal Finder, you would get those sales anyway at a higher payout if eBay got rid of it. It benefits eBay, so they won't. And see, that's the whole point. I don't know if we can trust eBay to be doing the right thing. Yeah, sassy Florida girl. I sell in flooded markets. So again, we've used promoted listings for other types of items, rare and scarce and one-offs and stuff. I don't see the same benefit or the same results on stuff like that. So that's just my take on it. That's just my take. I don't trust them anymore. They lost my trust when they attacked Ina and David Steiner. Totally lost my trust on it. Not again, they can get rid of a CEO. There's a mentality and the feeling of what was there before may still be there for all we know. They'd have to get rid of the whole board and all kinds of stuff because there's still people that were at eBay when they were attacking Ina and her husband. So and that literally was the icing on the cake for me, the nail in the coffin, I guess, on trusting them. Twisted. My day job is being an auto mechanic. This week alone, we have been slammed, and now we are completely booked for the whole week, starting on the 2nd. It's winter, cold, maybe cooling issues, heating issues. There's a lot of mechanical. All the mechanics are usually busy around here in winter months, and that would probably be the case too. That means expenses. It means money shelling out. Everything's going up. The parts cost more. Mortgage rates are up. The interest rate's doubled. If you have an adjustable rate, you may be paying twice what you were 2 years ago. And meanwhile, the value of your house is slipping. You don't want to get underwater would be the other thing I'd say. Let's see here. Let's see here. Talking about pivot. My eBay sales have been strong for 2 weeks. I sell in the flooded media category, but sales are going strong. It's winter month. Media category, like DVDs sell fairly well in the winter months. I've always seen that. It's been a routine thing for winter months. Video games sell extremely well. Summer months, video games, unless it's a hot new game, don't seem to sell as much. In the summer months, more people are outside. They're doing sports and stuff. You can't do that up here. Obviously, depends on what side of the country you're on, too. But let me see here. Let's see here. A deal finder. If there are 1,000 people using promoted in a category, is washed out, no need by the same less those promoted fees. Again, that's what I was saying. Once everybody's, you got to do promoted, you got to do promoted. Once everybody's doing it, it's just like no one's doing it because it's the same effect. You're flooded with promoted listings, and you can only show so many. So then you're fighting to give eBay the most money to get the most views out of those. That's the race to the bottom right there. That's why the people who do Amazon and try to get the penny below somebody else or $1 below somebody else, that's not impressive to me. You know, I'm not. It's a race to the bottom for a lot of folks. And, you know, I'm not in a hurry to sell it. So if it sits there and I wait till they're gone at their special price, again, then I'll be back and out of the buy box again. So what does it matter? I guess that's the biggest point. Let's see here. Buster Bluth, how are you doing this evening? Are you bizarre? Welcome, welcome. Yeah, I always forget to say hit the thumbs up button there. We got 164 people in house. If you're enjoying it, please slam that thumbs up button. Let's see here. What? Hang on, Murray. I think I clicked the wrong button on you. Let me make sure I don't forget. Because I think I just clicked the wrong button. Let me see here if I can find out where we're at on here. Hang on just a second here. Oh, I gotta figure out where it's at. I think it's under settings. Permissions. Channel. Community. Here it is. I'm sorry. Somehow I think I messed up here. Hang on. Let me make sure I didn't click Murray by accident. Yeah, I'll make sure I fix it on there, Murray. It looks like I've accidentally clicked the wrong option on you. Where are we at? Let me pop on down. Mr. Daly, hey Matt, how are you doing? How are DVD sales? Had little luck myself. What season of Married with Children is that behind you? It's the complete series. We got that. It was a reselling purchase. I forgot I even had those back there. Yeah, I forgot I even had those. Star Trek, that's one of my favorite ones back there. Let's see here, where we at? Fart sack Jack. I need to list some shoes and pants. Thanks, Wiggy Q. Hope you get to feeling better. Cindy under the weather too, but test negative for flu and COVID. Flu is going around though. SparkX63, how are you doing? Cherrywood Pickers, Burlington, huh? Welcome, welcome. I've been through that area once before. We spent some time in Canada, but on 2 or 3 different occasions. And with my family, we've traveled there as well, too. Janet B. Gumtree is the other platform. That's the one. That's the one. Gumtree. Yeah, somebody else sent me a link to that, and I checked it out, too. Let's see where we at. Where you can sell a flare gun. I don't know if they're legal to sell anymore, Sassy Florida Girl. You'd have to be careful on that. Some of those are illegal to sell if it's a military one. Because there's still a, I mean, you can turn it into something and still fire projectiles, I think is the biggest deal. I have one here, actually. I mean, you can possess them, but I don't think you can sell them. The Waltons. That's it. That's it, Marty. Yep, the Waltons. Hey, Dave, Midwest Picker. How you doing, Dave? Another YouTuber in-house. Yeah, several people, Waltons. Totally forgot. Six-bit. I don't. I've been asked by a half a dozen people on 6-bit. I don't see any savings on time over how quickly we can list on eBay. Was one of the biggest things I had. Without a sync, I wouldn't do anything, truthfully. If it doesn't sync with the platforms I want to use, there's not much sense in messing with it. Would eliminate the syncing issues between eBay and HIP directly. I don't have an issue with sync between HIP and eBay. Actually, if you do have an issue with them, I'd contact support because they've been extremely good on fixing anything's in there issue-wise. The only thing I would say is if 6-bit's just doing a sync, you better darn well make sure if you're doing end and self-similar that it's going to address those issues in there. Because what I've found is there's nobody who will be able to account for it. So you'll constantly be having broke syncing whenever you end in self-similar items. So if you're using 6-bit or any of them have that same. InkFrog's the same thing. InkFrog can't fix there's nothing they can do because it doesn't it syncs through the eBay item number. If 6-bit syncs through the eBay item number and you're ending and selling similar, your syncs will be off constantly unless it's able to compensate for that. And I haven't found one that would, because the minute you end and sell similar, the old listing that you may have on another platform has the old eBay number on it. It's not pulling them down and updating it because of the way the syncs work. It just clogs up the old item listing. So you may end up with 2 of the same ones on there and none of them sync together. And that's what some of the issues I had seen with HIP originally. But again, if you contact them, they are able to fix that issue. At least that's what I've seen. Let's see here. Yeah, we're fine with HIP. I mean, I sell enough to make it well worth our time for us with HIP. I don't have the sync issues. If you haven't contacted HIP's IT department, they're fairly good about that. I mean, I've talked to the owner of that company, and they've been very good on fixing it. Not just because I talked to the owner, but I even helped somebody else, and they just fixed it for them. I mean, if that's the issue. Let's see here. Waltons, yep. Peddling Profits, how are you doing? You too, Peddling Profits. Hope everything's going well with you as well. Yeah, I haven't watched a Waltons in years, I would say. Listing diary. I'm not sure who likes Amazon better than eBay. I like Amazon for buying certain items. I can't get them on eBay. So I mean, I don't like Amazon per se, but I like the ease and the fact that I can't get ripped off. I've not been ripped off ever on a purchase off of Amazon. They've always honored every single one we've ever had an issue with. Everyone. So, and I don't mind if I have to drop it off at some place. Sassy Florida Girl. eBay is I've actually heard from somebody that eBay was going to be putting that option in there, and there's probably a couple articles I've even read about that. You might want to look into that because I'm almost sure that was the case on there. Let's see here. Hang on just a second here. Yeah, the Auction Monkey, the same thing. I have no plans to relist coins back on eBay. I'm still up in the air. It really bugged me because I lost all the time, and at that point we weren't hooked up when they did that because we didn't expect them to just overnight pretty much end all of our listings and then send us a notice after the fact and telling us we can't list them again. If I have, like people say, do drafts and stuff, our drafts disappear constantly. So if I get drafts in there or something, or they hang more than so many days, they disappear automatically by eBay, or the drafts will just disappear randomly on their own sometimes, and that just drives me nuts. Oh, let's see here. Yeah, John Doe, I can't say for sure you'd have to, but I personally would just be a little cautious just because of age and stuff like that. We've been criticized in the past for selling some of the 50s pinup style magazines and then selling, vintage toys or something else like that. I don't have any of them up, I think, and I haven't for years, even before eBay started, telling you we're going to get rid of the category. I think we started pulling down before that, just for appearance sake alone, if I'm not mistaken on that. Let's see here. Yeah, we're going to let it go. It's at the 8:30 point already. Do I list my own items, or do I list items sometimes, but I don't list nearly as many things as I used to in the past. But there's usually almost always somebody else listing the majority of what we sell. Yeah, my feed just dropped, so I don't have any. I'm trying to figure out where I'm at. Hang on, I'm trying to figure out where I'm at, or I think maybe I'm just gone. Murray, if you're listening, I will fix it as soon as the show's over. I have to click a couple buttons, and I'm pretty sure I did mess that up. So if I did, I will fix it before I get off and do anything else, Murray, because I think I did. I was hoping it was right here. I get so many advertisers and people making nasty comments that sometimes it takes a little while. Yeah, but when I get people showing me clips of other people bad-mouthing me on their own spot or on somebody else's show, we don't keep them on here anymore. Murray is not one of those. I think I clicked Murray by accident. Yeah, I wish you could sort through this. Thought you could. I'll fix it, though. Don't worry, Murray. I'm sorry if that's you. I'm sorry if I messed that up. I don't see a way to search, but we'll figure it out. Let me go back to the show. Sorry about that. Just trying to get lost for a second there, and we're going back over to here. So I'm going to end it off at here. We're at the hour-and-a-half point. I do appreciate everybody coming on tonight. If you got any questions, concerns, obviously leave them below. No video will be up tomorrow. It is already shot. It's already sitting here. It's over an item. We're going to show you some sales. We're going to show you how to do the whole, well, not the whole thing, but we'll show you the basics real quick on something that we do fairly well. We're going to be talking about some passive income items as well and go from there on that. But I do appreciate everybody coming on. If you haven't hit the thumbs up, please slam that thumbs up. And I hope you have a good evening for sure. Let's end it off on that.